And once again, Donald Trump backed down. It should come as no surprise to faithful viewers of this program that the most cowardly president in American history backed down again. The stupidest president in American history backed down again. The only convicted felon to serve as president of the United States backed down again. The president who got caught publicly lying over 35,000 times in his first term backed down again. And in backing down again, Donald Trump once again became a loser. In this case, a loser in a contest that he started, a contest that didn't have to happen were it not for the rank ignorance of Donald Trump. Donald Trump has already lost his trade war, and he is relentlessly stupid enough to continue to draw lines in the sand of his trade war that get blown away by his own foul, intemperate breath. And in Donald Trump's war against the greatest university in the world, Donald Trump is going to lose. The history of Donald Trump's war against Harvard will not be written during Donald Trump's presidency. And in Harvard's history, Donald Trump's war is a speck. Donald Trump's last year in the presidency will be Harvard's 393rd year. Donald Trump's presidency will be the equivalent of roughly 1% of the years Harvard University has already been with us as America's oldest university, founded in 1636, long before anyone ever dreamed of a country called the United States of America. Long after Donald Trump is gone, the world-class historians at Harvard University and elsewhere will be defining Donald Trump's presidency as the most corrupt American presidency in history. The Trump presidency will be recorded in history as a failure because nothing Donald Trump does in the presidency will live after him. The policies are all reversible and will be reversed, and many of them will be reversed in the courts during the Trump presidency. And then there are the Trump policies that are reversed by Donald Trump himself. Flip-flop used to be the worst thing a politician could be associated with in a headline other than a sex scandal or bribery. Then came Donald Trump, who flip-flops more than any politician in American history. No American politician has ever reversed himself more frequently than Donald Trump, or more quickly than Donald Trump, or more fully, predictably than Donald Trump. The weak-willed Donald Trump, the foolish Donald Trump. And Donald Trump's predictable reversing of himself has now created a new phrase with the acronym TACO, as in Trump always chickens out. And that's what the usually conservative British newspaper, the Financial Times, now says about Donald Trump. Trump always chickens out. The New York Times reports that the phrase is now sweeping through Wall Street. Trump always chickens out, quote, has been adopted by some to describe the pattern in which markets tumble after Mr. Trump makes tariff threats only to rebound just as sharply when he relents and gives countries more time to negotiate deals. The market dropped on Friday when Mr. Trump threatened to ratchet up tariffs to 50% on goods from the European Union, a move that could have done severe economic damage to Europe and the United States. But at the time, some analysts, like Salman Fiedler of Berenberg, a German bank, said it wouldn't last. Wild threats by Trump are not unusual, he wrote in a note that day. Given the damage the U.S. would do to itself with this tariff, he will probably not follow through. These retreats are so frequent that investors should rationally expect them. Paul Donovan of UBS Wealth Management wrote, echoing me, by the way, as stocks in Europe jumped Monday morning. And as U.S. markets, which were closed on Monday for Memorial Day, joined the rally on Tuesday, Chris Beauchamp of IG Group summed it up with, taco trade triumphs once again. So I guess one place I could be making more money is as a UBS wealth management analyst, because long before Paul Donovan of UBS wrote, "These retreats are so frequent, investors should rationally expect them," I said exactly that, essentially that, on this program weeks ago. I told Wall Street, where obviously no one was listening, that Donald Trump will not carry out any of his tariff threats from that point forward. And there is no reason to sell any stock when Donald Trump threatens a tariff, as he did last week, threatening a new 50% tariff on everything from Europe, a tariff that would be completely illegal and ruled illegal in federal courts. But the stock market panicked again about that 50% tariff on European goods. And then Donald Trump completely flip-flopped over the holiday weekend, seeing where the world markets were going over this. He reversed himself so he wouldn't have another stock market crash on his hands that he would be blamed for. And of course, the stock market came back up. Donald Trump is too stupid to stop threatening new tariffs, and he is too cowardly to actually carry out those threatened tariffs against a Wall Street reaction that would involve a crashing stock market. And so the American stock market should now build all of that into its reaction to Trump tariff threats. The European Union knows the tariff threats are nonsensical, and that's why they have given Donald Trump exactly nothing in negotiations. And after giving Donald Trump exactly nothing in negotiations, Donald Trump immediately announced that he was delaying his 50% tariffs on all goods coming from Europe until July 9th. That's the new lie, July 9th. And I can promise the stock market right now that on July 9th, nothing will happen. Donald Trump will not impose a 50% tariff on all goods coming from Europe on July 9th or ever. And instead of letting the issue fade away and pretending that he's actually achieved something with his trade war, Donald Trump will foolishly remain in the threat and retreat cycle for who knows how long. July 9th is 482 days before the next congressional election. House Republicans and Senate Republicans will continue to be sickened every time Donald Trump threatens a new tariff as the election approaches and the stock market crashes once again. And you should expect that even Donald Trump will understand that he has to shut up about crazy tariffs a year from now, in the middle of the summer before the next congressional election. And so eventually, Donald Trump will shut up about his crazy and illegal tariffs and just pretend that he's achieved something with his failed trade war. And every one of Donald Trump's fake tariff threats from now through July 9th and beyond should be taken for what it is politically, a gift to the Democrats running against the tariff-supporting House and Senate Republicans. And the Trump tariff clowns who work for Donald Trump will continue to give the Democrats the gift of talking about skyrocketing prices that would be absolutely intolerable, as if they're a joke. Today, the most publicly idiotic economic advisor to a president in history went on CNBC, where he admitted that Donald Trump could push the price of an iPhone up to $3,500, and no one should dare complain about it.
Everybody is trying to make it seem like it's a catastrophe if there's a tiny little tariff on them right now.
A tiny little tariff. That disgraced buffoon, who has never made it above the rank of associate professor of economics and has never had tenure in an economics faculty, thinks that triple the cost of an iPhone, that is just a tiny little tariff. Of course, he doesn't actually think that. But he's willing to smile his way through any lie that he needs to tell on any day on TV about the Trump illegal and crazy tariffs. And while he's telling those lies and smiling about them, he, even as an economic advisor to Donald Trump, doesn't have the slightest idea when Donald Trump is going to flip-flop next on his own tariffs. He could be on TV defending a tariff that Donald Trump has revoked while he's speaking. And he'll keep smiling because that's his job. The clownish smile on TV lying about the Trump tariffs. On Friday, just for the heck of it, Donald Trump, in a childish tweet, threatened to raise the price of a $1,000 iPhone by $250, saying, without the slightest grip on reality, I expect their iPhones that will be sold in the United States of America will be manufactured and built in the United States, not India or any place else. If that is not the case, a tariff of at least 25% must be paid by Apple to the United States. Okay, that is not the case. None of the iPhones are made in the United States now, so that tariff should be applied right now. And of course, none of them have a 25% tariff. No iPhone has a 25% tariff on it now, and none of them are scheduled to be made in the United States. And so that is a fake threat. And some in the stock market actually fell for it. Apple stock dropped 3% that day, but only 3%. So that tells you that almost everyone on Wall Street knew that that is a childish, lying threat by Donald Trump. We're now 3 months away from the traditional September introduction of the new iPhones, which is also the traditional beginning of the Christmas shopping season in America. And even a politician as stupid as Donald Trump is not going to raise the price of iPhones 25% going into the Christmas shopping season. $250 price increase on iPhones by Donald Trump himself is not going to happen. Donald Trump is going to continue issuing those kinds of threats because he's trying to pretend that he hasn't already lost his trade war. The casualties in Donald Trump's trade war so far are all in the United States. Donald Trump's foolishly high, illegal 30% tariff that is still being imposed on all goods from China after Donald Trump reduced that tariff from the utterly insane and obviously insane level of 145%. Those tariffs are still at 30%, doing damage to American businesses and could kill some businesses and will definitely kill American jobs. And after Americans lose those jobs, Donald Trump and Republicans are making sure that after they've been forced into unemployment by Donald Trump's tariffs, they will not be able to get health care in this country because they will not be able to enroll in Medicaid and receive health care coverage. That is the two-pronged attack on American workers currently underway in this country, the already job-killing Trump tariffs and the health care stealing Trump Republican budget bill that passed the House of Representatives and might or might not pass the Republican Senate. The New York Times is reporting on a Vermont small business called Bevo, owned by Karina Hamel and Robbie Ringer, that sells personal water containers people use for drinking containers. The Times reports the duties, which is to say tariffs, on Bevo's bottles are higher than 30% because of the material they're made from and how they are classified by trade officials. Bevo bottles that are not insulated are subject to tariffs that add up to 47%, and the rate for insulated bottles is 37%. Mr. Trump has frequently said foreign businesses that ship products to the United States pay the tariffs. But in reality, importers like Bevo pay the duties to the federal government when the goods arrive at a U.S. port. It's still a massive impact to the cash, and it still requires reworking a whole new strategy, Mr. Ringer said. When he was in China, Mr. Ringer asked to see Bevo's products in the warehouse, which is something he has done before to check manufacturing quality. But this time he had to clamber over pallets in the aisles to see the bottles. The warehouse was crammed full of goods that customers had delayed shipping to avoid paying the 145% tariffs. On May 12th, when Mr. Trump reduced tariffs on China for 90 days, Ms. Hamel and Mr. Ringer concluded they could now afford to pay the tariffs on a small shipment, 7,624 of the 30,000 bottles they had promised to buy. They will pay $24,436 in duties on the shipment, compared with an estimated $3,645 at the rates that existed before Mr. Trump took office. So that's who pays the tariffs. Karina Hamel and Robbie Ringer in Vermont paying $24,436 in Trump tariffs to the Treasury of the United States, just like taxes, just like a sales tax. That is what Donald Trump's smiling economist calls a tiny little tariff. That's a tiny little tariff that could kill businesses, small and large, all over the United States. Donald Trump is a loser who is going to continue to lose, and he is going to continue to hurt Americans while he's losing.